I think all human beings need to keep 5 types of people, not 5 people. You might have 100 people, but they fit somewhere, somehow into these 5 types of categories or personas. Ask yourself, how do you show up in the world? Do you embody one of these personas, and how are you to people around you, or to friends and family, or people that keep you close? Definition of a good friend is not necessarily the things they do for you, or kind of like how they show up in your life, or things that are actually happening as a result of being with that friend or being connected to that person. But it comes down to how they leave you feeling about yourself. We've all heard the expression that you are the sum of the people that you hang out with, or that your friends can show you your future. And this is true to a large degree because, of course, whoever you choose to associate with is ultimately going to have an impact on you, and it's going to help shape you, especially during formative years. So if you're younger and you're listening to this, it is highly important that you're very protective of the people that are around you, and you also know exactly who they are. But it doesn't really change too much as you get older, because even at 46 years old, it's very important for me to live by what I'm about to share with you. Now, I don't think it's limited to just 5 people, because that's kind of the main societal message, is that you want 5 people in your life that embody certain things. What I'm going to tell you today on this episode of the LFG Energy podcast is that you need 5 types of people. And I say types because I don't want you to feel like you have to limit it to just 5 people. We're going to talk about 5 certain personas or types of human beings that you want to have in your life and associate with, because ultimately that's going to help you get to where you want to go, and more importantly, above all, make you a good human being. But it doesn't mean that it's just one person for one of these personas. You might know multiple people, and to make that decision of eliminating others and only giving that distinction or title to just one is a lot of pressure. So it's okay to have multiple people. Now, I want you to know that because we live in a totally different world and we have access to social media, which puts us in front of people and personas and energies that almost make it feel like we're connected to them anyways, I want you to know that within these types of people, and you might have multiple individuals that'll fit under those types, don't feel like they have to be people that you actually know personally or that are actually in the flesh in your life. It could be somebody from a distance. It might be a mentor or someone that you follow on Instagram or social media in general that you really look up to because they embody some of these traits. That's totally fine. And for me personally, that's how I operate. There are many people that are going to fit into these 5 categories that I'm going to share with you today that I don't actually know them personally. In fact, I have no connection to them other than the fact that I follow them, but I love and absorb their content so much because it has an impact on my life. So it's totally okay to have that. So the first is the highly accomplished or high functioning persona. Now, this is someone or multiple people, again, that constantly put out so much. Everything they touch seems to turn to gold. They are very, very successful at a high level, whether it's in the money they make, the output that they put out in society or create, the level of business success and reach that they're having in terms of a global or national impact, or they just seem to accomplish so much with so little. Really resourceful. Now, it's important that we have these people around, and a lot of these folks might actually not be people that you're closely connected to. In fact, personally, some of these people that fit under this persona that I like to have in my life are at a total distance, meaning they're just through social media, because I see what they do, I see what they preach, I see how they function, and it embodies a lot of what I want to try and mirror from my life. So the highly functioning or highly accomplished persona, very important. The second one is just called life. And what I mean by this is they embody aspects of life that you aspire to have be part of yours. They've got something that's part of their world that you really want to strive to have for yourself. Maybe it's a family. Maybe it's the fact that they have lots of impact. Maybe it's this harmonious balance or harmonious flow that they have to keeping busy while still showing up as a father or as a husband or a member of society. But again, some aspect of their life or multiple aspects of it are things that you yourself want for your life. Now, another thing, before I move on to the third persona that I'll tell you, for a lot of people that you might categorize as these types of folks that are in your life, don't feel like they have to just only embody one of these traits and that's it. It's very likely that someone who is high functioning and highly accomplished also has shades or shadows of their life that you would actually want to aspire to have be part of yours. It's just that they have a primary designation in your mind and for you in terms of how you're categorizing them. So don't feel like they have to just be one and nothing else at all, because the likelihood, if they're good people, is that they'll embody a lot of what I'm talking about. It just may not be that the primary category or persona is quite obvious. The next persona is resilience, or the resilient people or person. These are people that have been through some serious shit and bounced back. Every time life has knocked them down, they've managed to get back up. Now, this could be from overcoming illness. This could be from overcoming serious and life-altering tragedy that you have no idea how they've been able to get themselves back together and continue to function through life. They've just been through a lot. And I feel this is one of the most important types of people to have in your life, those that are resilient. Because people that have gone through life just winning all the time and never really had to deal with loss or overcome adversity or make it through serious fire and strife and tragedy in their life are not really going to have this type of fortitude or mental toughness to deal with the inevitable setback or the inevitable shakeup when it does happen. I call those types of people snowflakes because they eventually melt when put under serious pressure. So I want to have, and I have lots of people in my life that are like this, that fit this particular persona. In fact, this is probably the one where I am heaviest in terms of so many people that I keep close to in my life because I draw so much inspiration from them. Now, a lot of people don't like making that characteristic. They don't like making that connection, that just because somebody else has worse problems doesn't mean that my problems are less significant, or I don't like making that characterization or connection. Like, I want to deal with my own problems and I don't care what anyone else is going through. I'm the opposite. Anytime I'm going through something that's challenging, I always look to someone who's been through something much worse. Maybe it was similar, but more intense. Maybe it was the exact same type of thing and they made it out. And I draw serious inspiration from that. And it also helps put things into harsh perspective sometimes, because there are people that are going through far much worse than what you're going through, or they've dealt with something so insurmountable, or at least it appeared that way, so tragic that you have no idea how they're actually getting up and putting one foot in front of the other each day. But there's something to be learned from that. So make sure that you have plenty of these people, because they're around there. There are incredible human beings that have overcome, whether they are people you actually know or you know them again through social media or through another dimension. The next persona are good humans. These are people that are just doing good. They may not have a lot of success. Maybe they do, because good humans tend to run into success at some point. They may not have a lot of money, but they are just incredibly decent and good human beings. They're always trying to better other people around them. They are good friends to people. They are good members of society. They are charitable. They are so giving with their time and their energy. I love being around people like this because, again, it's a reminder and puts into perspective what's really important. Because at the end of the day, this whole experiment of being a human being and what it is to actually experience that comes down to this. Are we leaving the world better than when we entered it? Are we leaving our neighborhood better, our families better, the people that we touch? And that ultimately just comes down to being a good human being. I've got this expression that I heard from Andre Agassi once, and it was when he was in an interview and he was asked, what is the definition of a good friend? And he was talking about his spouse and how they're good friends to one another. It was really touching to hear, but I haven't heard anyone put it this well. And that is that the definition of a good friend is not necessarily the things they do for you, or kind of like how they show up in your life, or things that are actually happening as a result of being with that friend or being connected to that person. But it comes down to how they leave you feeling about yourself as a result of having spent time with them. If I leave you feeling more inspired, more motivated, more with purpose whenever we spend time together, then I'm a good friend to you. And you're a good friend to me if you do that. And I think that's the essence of what having good humans in your life is. Are they good friends? How do they show up? What kind of impact do they have? And how do they leave others around them feeling? The last important type of person that you want to have in your life, and this is highly critical, especially in this modern day, and that is the evolver. You want to have people that never settle for where they're at. They're constantly evolving, wanting to improve. They're exploring, they're traveling. They're thirsty for more energy and more information. Because, again, part of the human experience is to evolve, which means we don't stay in the same place for very long. And we do that through learning. We do that through experience. We do that through motion. And if you've got a lot of people like this in your life, and again, they may not be ultimately hugely successful because we're all works in progress, and maybe they're evolving and they haven't quite hit some of those other metrics or areas in life that you think they're doing this evolvement for. But if they're constantly learning, and they're always trying to evolve and make a better version of themselves day after day, that's something you want to keep close to you. And again, they don't have to be people that are in your everyday life. They could be from afar, and you might be drawing inspiration from them by simply watching or hearing about what they do. But I think all human beings need to keep a good amount of evolvers around them. So again, in summary, the 5 types of people, not 5 people. You might have 100 people, but they fit somewhere, somehow into these 5 types of categories or personas. Are the highly accomplished or functioning, the person who embodies life, meaning the kind of life that you would want or some aspect of it, the resilient ones, the good human beings, and finally, the evolvers. Now, I have a mental log of where everyone in my life kind of fits into these personas or categories. You could do this on a sheet of paper or just keep a mental log of it yourself. But just like all other aspects of business and life, we need to be keeping track and taking account for what's going on in it. And a big part of what's going on in it are the people that we're giving our time and energy to, or that we're allowing to take their time and energy. And the last thing I'll leave you with is ask yourself, how do you show up in the world? Do you embody one of these personas, and how are you to people around you or to friends and family or people that keep you close? What's your primary focus or primary shade of one of these personas? You might embody a lot of these traits, and I hope you do. And I think it should be a goal of all of ours to encompass bits of all of these personas. But what is the main one that you bring forth to the world today? Figure out what that is. Ask yourself how you show up so that we can make sure we're being as good to people as we're expecting them to be for us and how they show up. And ultimately, I think you'll find that this episode and these lessons are things that are going to make you better off no matter what. Thanks for listening to this important lesson today, guys. It's helped shape my life and continues to every day. And I'll catch you guys on the next episode.